Hi everyone, my name is Laura Comstock, and today I'll be talking about culturally responsive teaching with a focus on how it can better engage ESL students in the classroom. As educators, we're not just teaching language or content, we're teaching students, and every student brings a unique cultural background that shapes how they learn, communicate, and participate. Our learning goal for today is to identify strategies that help incorporate students' cultural backgrounds into instruction. This is especially important in ESL settings where students are not only learning academic content, but also navigating a new language and often a new culture at the same time. When we intentionally connect instruction to students' lived experiences, we make learning more accessible and more meaningful. Let us start with a scenario. A teacher asks students to write about their favorite Thanksgiving tradition. At first, this seems like a typical classroom assignment, something many students might relate to. But if we look closer, we can see a potential issue. Some ESL students might not celebrate Thanksgiving. Others may be new to the United States and have never experienced it at all. So instead of focusing on writing skills, those students are now struggling to understand the topic itself. This can lead to confusion, frustration, or even disengagement. Students may feel left out or unsure of how to participate. So the question becomes, how might this assignment unintentionally exclude some students? This example shows how important it is to think critically about assumptions we make when designing lessons. Culturally responsive teaching is an approach that values and incorporates students' cultural backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives into instruction. It recognizes that culture influences how students learn, communicate, and interpret information. Instead of expecting all students to fit into one dominant cultural framework, we adjust our teaching to be more inclusive and reflective of the diversity in our classrooms. Now, this doesn't mean completely changing what we teach. It means changing how we teach it. It's about making learning relevant by connecting it to students' identities, which can increase both understanding and engagement. This approach is especially important for ESL students for several reasons. Firstly, it increases participation. When students can relate to the content, they're more likely to engage and contribute. Secondly, it builds confidence. Speaking and writing in a new language can be intimidating, but when students are talking about familiar topics, they feel comfortable taking risks. Third, it validates their identities. Too often, students feel like they have to leave their language or culture behind in order to succeed in school. Culturally responsive teaching sends the message that their background is valuable. And finally, it supports language development. When students are engaged and motivated, they are more likely to practice and use the language in more meaningful ways. Let us revisit our earlier example. The original prompt was write about your favorite Thanksgiving tradition. An inclusive alternative would be write about a celebration or tradition that is important in your family or culture. This small shift makes a big difference. Now, every student has an entry point into the assignment. Students can draw from their own experiences, whether that's a holiday, a religious celebration, or a family tradition. It also creates opportunities for students to learn from each other. which can build cultural awareness and respect in the classroom. This shows that culturally responsive teaching doesn't require completely redesigning lessons. It often involves small intentional adjustments. One powerful strategy is cultural sharing. This involves creating structured opportunities for students to share aspects of their culture, traditions, and personal experiences. For example, students might present on a holiday they celebrate, compare traditions across cultures, or discuss family customs. These activities do more than just build language skills. They create a sense of community. Students begin to see their classmates as sources of knowledge, not just peers. It also encourages authentic communication. Instead of practicing language in isolation, students are using it to express real ideas and connect with others. As teachers, we can support this by modeling curiosity, asking thoughtful questions, and creating an environment where all voices are valued. Now, I want to give you a moment to pause and reflect. How might incorporating students' cultural experiences increase engagement for ESL learners? Think about your own classroom or your future classroom. You can pause this video if you would like to write a short 2 to 3 sentence response. When students feel represented in the curriculum, they are more likely to participate, ask questions, and take ownership of their learning. Even small changes like offering flexible prompts or including diverse perspectives can have a significant impact. To wrap up, the key takeaway is this. Culturally responsive teaching helps create inclusive classrooms where all students feel seen, valued, and supported. By connecting lessons to students' experiences, we not only increase engagement, but also strengthen language development and academic success. Ultimately, it's about equity, making sure every student has access to meaningful learning opportunities. As educators, we have the ability to create those opportunities through the choices we make in our instruction. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope this gives you a few practical ways to think about making your teaching more inclusive and responsive to your students.